99% of people settle. They find a neat little comfy bench on the pathway of their dreams and they say, it's not just good, it's good enough. And they spend their life nesting around that nook of a half-lived dream. But if you're watching this video, I know that you are here for something deeper, something bigger. And I'm here to tell you that you're not dreaming too big, despite the world saying you're crazy, being told to be more realistic, being told that what you want is too much, too wild, or it's not possible. And I want to hold some reverence for the internalized shame that we all learn to have for wanting more impact, more freedom, more money, more aliveness, so that we can come into more fullness of owning our desires, creating a process of connecting to ourselves that feels safe to play big, so that we can really actualize more of the life we desire. So if you're new here, my name's Kev. I'm an award-winning furniture designer, and I help ambitious creatives get into their body, become more emotionally resilient, and live beautiful fucking lives. So the myth of too much. Since 99% of people settle, when you choose not to, they think something's wrong with you. They call you crazy. They say it's never gonna work. They say you need to get your feet on the ground, which is great advice. Just half truth, right? But I want to break that narrative that like your too muchness has nothing to do with you. It's their capacity to be able to hold what you want to create, or their lack of capacity, right? So that's just really their inability to contain the bigness, the fullness of who you are. So people like that tend to project their lack of fulfillment and their lack of desire onto you, you know? And not to mention that a lot of the systems profit off of your self-doubt, you know? You're not pretty enough, skinny enough, smart enough, handsome enough, fast enough, whatever it is, you know? Don't get me started about that. But your too muchness has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the world around you, which isn't your responsibility. But we internalize that shame and we make it mean something which registers in our body, right? So when we believe that we're too much and we get into the habit of toning ourselves down, we're going to have resentment. We're going to feel numb. We're going to feel stuck, trapped, and a little separate from the life that we crave. We might be able to create a life that looks good on paper, you know, but it has a certain flatness to its depth and texture. And I say, like, you might be able to live a good life from this place, but you won't live a great life. And I want to help you live a great life. And so the difference between a good life and a great life is that kind of aching between what your soul knows is possible and what your mind is currently comfortable in. In bridging that space, that's where the juice is, you know? So that kind of yearning, that longing, that aching, that dreaming big but feeling separate, that's the doorway. But we tend to use that as a way to reinforce our narrative that we're too much, I should just be happy where I am, which, half truth, again, we need to learn to be full and present in the here and now, and from there, we learn to actually meaningfully change. So you're not asking for too much, you're beginning to remember what feels fucking authentic to you, why you came here, and just who you are, right? If you desire to create wildly, to live deeply with profound presence, to have an impact, to love fiercely, that's not too much. That's beautiful. That's what the world needs. Why we're taught that we don't want that, I have no fucking clue. But the bigness of how you can show up, the space you can take up, isn't a liability, you know? It's your leadership. It's your willingness to show up and to give in a way that like makes others question, am I actually living my life? Which is a great litmus test. Chances are, if you're triggering people, you're on the right path. Now, don't make it your intentional point, right? But your space that you take up, the bigness, the aliveness in which you animate and give your gifts, that will likely ruffle feathers of people who are not living in that alignment with their dreams. So even though it might occur to them as a trigger in the moment, it's actually such a beautiful doorway, you know? Because what this illuminates is when we step through our fear and kind of love it and wrestle with it and take up space, all of a sudden we might feel more clarity in our body because we're moving now. We're bridging the gap between who we know we can be and who we're showing up as. That's beautiful. We're creating connection with our inner voice, which leads it to get stronger. Not necessarily like louder, we're just able to tune into it more clearly. It gets stronger, deeper, and has more power to it, you know? And then we stop really caring about playing small and the fear of being rejected. Like our body starts to reject the notion of dimming our voice, dimming our power, and starts to get comfortable making other people uncomfortable in the bigness of who we are. And that, my friends, is such a superpower. So when you start to connect to what it's like to create more space, to be safe playing big, to realize you're not dreaming too big, you can own your big desires and have your feet on the ground. You know, you need to be realistic, but you also need to dream. They can exist in the same space, right? You realize that like you can tie a neat little bow on the era of settling that you have played small or hid in your life. That's been a huge reframe and a huge chapter turning for me, is how much of my life I've played small, I've hidden from what I've actually desired, and I'm done. I'm done shrinking. I'm ready to acknowledge that I'm fucking powerful and I have a lot to give. And you are too. And so stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop shrinking to fit into a system that wasn't designed for you, that wasn't designed to support the bigness of who you are. And no more pretending like abandoning your dreams is okay. You need to authentically be fully accepting of where you are at the same time as you step up to accept that I have big dreams I want to actualize and I'm ready to move towards them boldly. That's powerful, right? That's going to have so much impact and resonance in all these other areas of your life. So you're not too big. Maybe you're just finally listening to the voice inside of you that's ready to own your desires, to actually create that life. Not just let your dreams be something hypothetical in the future, but to condense that space. By letting yourself take up that more space. By letting your creative dreams become like a devotional act that you give space to every day, that are non-negotiables now. You fully expressing yourself and giving your gifts can be non-negotiables, not this luxury thing that you're waiting for in the future. And through all of this, to let your nervous system lead with what is nourishing you, what is making you feel calm and regulated and peaceful, and moving from that place, finding your edge, learning to breathe into it, create peace there, and to continue expanding. Because you already know what's possible. It's just time to inhabit that space and learn to attune to it, to learn to stay regulated through these places that normally would have led you to self-abandon, to turn around, or to play small. And so if you want help learning how to take up more space to play bigger, I encourage you to check out the Embodied Creator Toolkit. The link's in the description below. It's a powerful resource. And for a free resource, you can check out my newsletter if you want to go deeper. And just subscribe here to get more of this. So grateful for y'all being here and giving me your time. I appreciate you deeply, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao!